Good morning, today 293. Okay, today we're trying to get the guys a little bit more structured on the plastering element we've got to do. We've got some chiseling to do, some chipping to do, some lines to be pulled. And we've got a parapet that we've obviously got to get put in, which one of you guys suggested yesterday. Why are you not doing the parapet and then plastering on one? That was a conversation I had yesterday. It's a conversation we had again today. So what we're going to do is we're going to analyse along all the way around where the straightness actually is, because obviously if we've got a straight beam we can go straight up. If we've got a beam that's leaning backwards, that's not too much of a problem. But if we have a beam that's leaning out and we then put formwork out, then we pour a parapet beam out, which means then we've got to chase all that off. So what you need to do is put a little bit of gypsum board behind anything which is swollen to ensure that when it's all taken off you can plaster that in. So in the moment the front beam is not too bad. We should get away with putting an 8-inch ply all the way along there with a 4 inch hanging upwards, which means the beam itself will be 4 inches high. On the back of the building we've got to chisel some more of the beam off where we did in the middle, because the actual beam itself it's not straight, which means that we'll land up having ply doing this, which means the beam will be swollen and we have to put stuff down. So we're going to try and chisel some of that off first, because obviously the whole wall's got to be plastered up anyway. Once that's been chiseled off, we can do the parapet and we can plaster the whole thing in one lump. Round here we're carrying on with a scratch coat because of how thick we're having to lose this. This is quite thick. We're probably talking about 1.5 inches to lose this side here all the way down. So it's costing me a bloody fortune in mortar, but it's got to be done. But again, once that's dry, we'll again put the plywood on the top and get the parapet set to be poured. So the carpenters are going to crack on with planing down some sheets into 8-inch elements. We're going to put a 2x4 on the roof with blocks behind it, so we're not going to screw into the roof. And the 2x4s here are obviously a 3.5 inch. So we'll have a 3.5 inch at the back, 4 inches at the front, which will create a slight run backwards onto the roof on the parapet. So when the rain lands, the rain will run off of the parapet onto the roof, not down the front of the building, creating future stains and ugliness. So that's what they're doing there. Painter man's inside sanding down the cistern and the toilet and getting painted going on there. I've asked him, please do what you can on the dust, because I hate dust. Okay, Smithy's scoring this wall here. So this wall here itself obviously has got to be plastered, because it's, again, the whole building is in. So we're literally trying to lose the 1.5 inches that the building's out into that corner. So we'll have a triangular shape. Will be about 1 inch thick here going down to this corner flat. So they've got to literally rod here, start with 1 inch, join the inch to here and run that all the way into that corner. So in order to do that, they've got to shave the wall. So these lines they're doing in the wall is just for the new mortar to bed into it. This here is a beam from here to here on top of the toilet. So that will be nice. So if you're going to do a block parapet, you wouldn't be able to do a block from here to here. But we're not going to do that anyway. We're going to be doing concrete. So that would be 4 inches all the way along here. This is the piece that's got to be cut out, and so is this. Trying to get Tyson warmed up. So we've meant to start at 9 o'clock, so we're 10 minutes over at the moment. So once that's done, then we can put that all the way along. So try and get him to get his finger out. Rock. Happy birthday, you old fart.
Thank you very much.
How old are you today?
57.
57? I said, how old are you? Not what's your waist size.
Huh?
I said, how old are you? Not what's your waist size. Happy birthday, buddy.
Thank you very much.
So, yeah, this is the first thing we've got to do. Then it's going to be the actual, the Tyson. He's got to do this.
Yeah, Rocky, you see you look like my father.
You're 56.
No, to do with it. I'm 57.
You're 57, he's 56.
57, I'll do 57. Listen, I could give that 3 minutes that I want to do. I could give that 3 minutes if you want it.
This is the wrestling stroke boxing match they've been asking for. He said he just needs 3 minutes. Right, so we're going to be rodding across here, obviously, and doing the concrete all the way along. The beams, the starter bars that are hanging out are obviously too high, so they're going to have to be cut back as well. And that needs to be done all the way around. Try and get these guys focused on getting that done, and then we can plane down the actual the ply and start installing that. Obviously we'll try and find any offcuts we've already got laying around rather than cut and ply, but that is the aim. Other than that, there's some few things inside we need to be done. The doors, I've had an update today, the doors still aren't ready. So I think we're going to be getting the doors towards the end of the week. Apparently they're at the spray man this morning, so still another week's worth of delay. So far 2 doors every week has turned into two doors every 2 to 3 weeks. So be mindful on the island. As soon as someone says they're going to do something, we've got to get some form of religious plan and payment method about what they're going to do for you, because people in the construction industry, full stop, let alone this island, they sort of overpromise and then land up taking on too much work and under-delivering. I've had a confirmation today as well. The kitchen, the laundry area, kitchen doors are being sprayed in a matte white. They should be done today. So hopefully they'll be installed to site tomorrow and that will be finished off. That's the hope. And hopefully once he's here he can actually finish off the other part of the kitchen, things like skirting boards and things like that. And then it's just colour matching the doors that are missing in the kitchen to get those installed. I've actually bought an extractor from England. That's going to be delivered. As you know, we've got 12-foot ceilings. So the downside to our extractor is that we've got to have some form of extractor which is at least 4 or 5 foot long, housing the extractor at the end. So what we've done is we've bought an integrated extractor in the hope that the back of it's not too ugly, or we can kind of try and cover the back of it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a boxing. I'm going to fit that all the way down from the ceiling. I'm going to attach it to the ceiling, obviously. I'm going to plasterboard that. I'm going to house all the electrics and the extractor hose inside, and then I'm going to paint that grey, the same colour grey as the central support column. And then I'm going to house the actual extractor underneath that. Obviously it will come out around, so it'll be bigger than the actual square, but that's what I'm going to try. At the moment, that's anything I can think of to try and actually get something that looks half decent that we can buy off the shelf. Otherwise, we're literally buying some really ugly things. So, fingers crossed. We ordered a Miele one, and it should be able to fit there nicely, and we should be able to finish the back of it, and it should look good. So that's one thing we've actually got going. Other than that, I'll update you as the day goes. Obviously, please like and subscribe. Help me get the subscribers up. I think we're at 568 today. So it said something like, if I remember rightly, the stat said 90. I think it was 93 subscribers in the last 28 days. It said. So that's our stat at the moment. Every 28 days, it gives you a running total. We seem to be sort of getting around about 100 every month. So if we can keep that going, then hopefully we might start touching the 600, 700, 800 mark at some point. That would be bloody good. So anyway, do me a favour, like and share, get some comments going. Anybody new, welcome. There was quite a few people last night commenting that are new to the channel, so welcome. And anything you want to know, any questions you want to ask, feel free to either put it in the comments below, or you can find my email on the About Me page. You can email me direct. So I'll update you as the day goes. Check in later on. Okay, we're at 3:20. Seems to be a lot of chatting going on out here. Hopefully there's just as much work. Let's see what they're up to in a minute. Okay.
I didn't see you. As I come and sit down, you coming out.
Sitting down as always. He just basically said he sat down just as I came out. What do you reckon? Do you reckon he's lying, or it's your birthday? You get a get out of jail card anyway. It's your birthday. You get a get out of jail card. Okay, so let's have a look up here. So what the guys are doing here is plastering straight through. So they're doing across here, all the way along. Obviously the top far round corner here was finished this morning. This bit is now being plastered. They're going to go wait for it to draw, obviously. The beam was chased this morning. This one was chased as well. So that piece there has been done, and now we're coming across. But they are meant to be boxing up upstairs, so we can actually do the parapet at the same time, which doesn't seem to be happening over here. What I wanted to try and do was get the actual parapet done at the same time, and then plaster all of it at the same time, which I said yesterday I wanted done, but it hasn't happened. The front bit is started, because I did see the boxing going up. Just double check. So we've actually got the parapet is actually in at the front, so we can pull that before the front's done. But it does mean they're carrying on with the sides prior to that actually happening, which is a bit of a pain in the arse. Side's done. So it looks like the plastering is going to land up being done separately on the side and the back. and obviously we're going to have to take this piece up the same height as that, otherwise it will look odd. That obviously doesn't need to be a parapet. This is just about trying to stop the water. So again, the reason why we actually do a parapet, so this is going to be 4 inches. And the reason why there's 4 inches is because the water lands up, being stopped going off the sides, both the front side and the rear, where water's concerned. So everything's run into this corner. So this is the most important part to get right, obviously, but that's okay anyway. But that bit doesn't need it, but obviously if we don't do it, then it's going to be 4 inches shorter than the rest of the building, so it'll look weird. Anyway, so that's been done. Also, there's something going on in here. So inside we've had the toilet system sanded down and painted. That's all been done. I'll show you that in a second. And there's stuff going on in here, which I'm not too sure what. Oh yeah, so we got some touching. This has been first coat up here, first coat on the other sides. We can get this painted in at some stage. A little bit more filler. This is all sanded, waiting to be painted. Again, this whole complex here is not a priority compared to over the road. So at the moment we've been neglecting this a little bit. But we are going to need to start making sure we get this finished because we want to start getting things in here. So this has got to come up in the next day or two. The bolts have got to be put into the joists all underneath to support this wall. We've got to get everything painted and cleaned out so we can actually put the new flooring down. The flooring can't go down until everything is done. Inside door is having another sand and paint of satin. And all the skirting boards that are due to go on in here are all done as well, waiting to go on. So make sure we get those covered up. They'll get covered in dust. Door's been done both sides, which is good. So yeah, at the moment we're not massively on target to get things as done as we want to, but we do need to. I mean, this is the sort of water we're going to allow it having sorted out, so we need to get that sorted out sooner rather than later. That's collecting water too. So we need to get that finished off, and we need to get this finished off. So I'm going to get the guys to prioritise that in a minute, because you can see the rust starting to come through here. So we need to get that completely dried out, let it dry out, get the OSFlow in there to stop the rusting here, all the way along. Look, and then we need to get it looking like this. Finally, seems to be a bit of a delay on things like that. So I'll speak to the guys about getting those things done. Other than that, I can't see a great deal of difference happening this afternoon. So we need to get this along here sorted out. Otherwise we're going to be plastering to the rod as always, which means we're then going to be doing the parapet, which then means we're going to be plastering the parapet as well. So we should be doing the whole thing in one lump. So I need to talk to the guys about whether we're actually going to do this or not, because at the moment they're still carrying on with plastering. I said don't. I said plaster this, get that bit done because that's separate to the parapet, then get the parapet done. Once the parapet's done and it's poured, then we can do the rest. But it seems like it's falling on deaf ears. So anyway, I'm going to have a word with them now and I'll check on you later on. Okay, so the day is finished. The guys have gone. It's 7 minutes to 5. They managed to well-crete the bit there that I asked them to do before they went, which is good. They finished off scratch coating this part, but again, that corner wasn't done because the 4x2's in the way. They didn't get to do the parapet at the top here, which is a shame. That means that they're actually going to have to do that separate. That was nearly finished off, but again, this bit wasn't done, and they shouldn't really have done that bit there as well, because the well-crete was only done this morning, so that's really meant to normally have 24 hours, but it does dry quick here in the sun. Parapet has been taken to here. Obviously, that should have been. They should have focused on getting this all the way around, all the way down, and then that way they could have carried on with the actual plastering tomorrow after the beam had been done, and then they've got one surface completely plastered rather than now 3 different levels. So let me get up the ladder and let me show you what they're doing on the parapet. I think they've gone a little bit, the biggest problem is that I think they've gone a little bit OTT on the parapet itself. Yeah, there you go. Look, so the parapet is just, they've gone too crazy. So they put plasterboard on the inside, which they didn't need to do because this beam actually is straight. They've got these top pieces holding the 2x4 in place, which the blocks would do that. I mean, one thing they should have been doing was actually putting these backwards if they were going to use something. So So that's a bit daft. So I might have to undo those and redo those. And that's as far as I've got. So basically all day we managed to get this bit in. So the plasterboard enables the concrete to be back by 1/2 inch, straight 3/4 inch. I think it's 1/2 inch, yeah, 1/2 inch. Which means when you pull the concrete, it means that the beam will come up and then you'll have a jut back, which means you can plaster all the way up rather than chase the front off. But if the beam is straight, not leaning out, then you don't need to do that. So I'm a bit bemused as to why they're doing it. Here's a perfect example. Yeah, you'd have to chase some of that out. So you'd need to do it on here because they're now putting this board actually on the plaster. Whereas if they did it over here, if you did all of it on the wall itself, then the plaster's not out, so they don't need to do it. So I'm not too sure what they're doing. I need to challenge them in the morning. Sorry about the wind, by the way. This still needs to be done because this has been done, but we need to now do the, I don't know what they call it, but they call it like a wipeout. There needs to be a wipeout in here to make sure that is completely waterproof. As you can see, we've not actually tapped into this drain yet, so this bit fills up, but eventually the water will come down here, and both of them are, it's geared to be triangular in the middle, which means some goes that way, some goes that way. But you know, this is a bit different, so we've got to box that up underneath because they've chased that out. But as you can see here, as I say, you can't. You can see it's slightly leaning out, so that might have been the reason why they've done what they've done. I'm not too sure why that is not up against the side, but it looks like it might be leaning. Maybe that's the reason why they've done it all the way along. But either way, this 2x4 needs to be straightened. That should be dead straight. So anyway, what I was hoping to do was to get that done all the way around today and start pouring, so that tomorrow we could have plastered. Just focused on plastering, but obviously that hasn't been done, so something we're going to need to do. This one obviously needs to be boxed up as well. So again, now they've got the plaster on here, so which means when they do the boxing on the front here, they're now going to have to put at least a bit of plasterboard in here. They're probably going to have to put 2 bits to get it back because they've now plastered. So the rods are on here because they're plastering up to the rods. So it's just like a bit of a waste of time, really. They should have focused on chopping these starter bars back and putting all the actual boxing up first. And this is something you're seeing as well. Now that this is actually all dried, see the lines in the concrete going that way, look. All of the water's running this way. So really what they should have been doing is pulling from this direction. Like the line was, this mark here is where the actual line was in the concrete. So all of the lines, rather than going that way, should have all been following the same line. Anyway, sorry to have what sounds like yet another moan, but just it's a bit annoying when you try and help the guys to get a bit targeted on doing something and then they don't do it. So it just means now we're going to create ourselves more work. So we've now got to finish this off, and this has got to be done after we've plastered on that wall and that wall. That also means that we're now going to have to plaster down and cut that plaster into the old plaster, which, without being rude, you always get a slight line. I mean, you can paint over it, you know, see a great deal, but it's just a lot easier to plaster a whole wall in one than it is in 3 sections. So, front of the house, like I said to you, I'm thinking about doing a feature wall on that. So my thought process at the moment is to get the whole front plastered and painted white, brilliant bright white. And then I want a very nice mid-natural wood colour, roughly an inch apart, going parallel all the way along the front. Now, do I do just the left-hand side of the garage and the right-hand side of the garage and leave the top, or do I go up all the way around? And also, do I use real wood or do I use composite? Here they don't have a lot of the woods that we have around the world, certainly not without importing anyway. So I have a thing called Purple Heart here, which is not the colour I was actually looking for. I like cedar or something a little bit mid-dark. So again, do I get a Home Depot, just get a couple of packs sent over, and then not only use that for around the pool, but then cut those, if they do them in 6-inch planks, then maybe cut them into 6 pieces and get those put on the wall. Let me know your thoughts. A lot of people have sort of said it's a great idea, but obviously material wise, I'm thinking about doing pure white wall, natural wood on the front, and do I go real wood or not? One's going to have maintenance and one's going to have a restriction on what's available. The other one gives me a little bit more flexibility for maintenance and gives me flexibility with colours as well. So let me know your thoughts. Other than that, the other thing I am going to be looking to try and do as well at the moment is Mr. 80-gallon tank. It's just not enough. So I need to try and source another tank, even if it's a second-hand one, and connect it in tandem. So we've actually got 2 tanks to give myself some more water. I live with 3 daughters and a wife, 4 ladies, and they go through hot water that's going out of fashion, and I'm normally left with the dregs. So we need to try and get the hot water situation sorted, and that's something I'm going to look at this week as well. Other than that, another day over in paradise. Palm trees, sunset. Please like and subscribe. Share the channel, comment as much as possible, and I'll check in and see you tomorrow. Take care.